behold and watch. Whoever you are, you're always going to have your Magnum Opus. Something that they will remember you for, long after your time is up. Something that is not written on your tombstone, but kind of is your tombstone. You don't have to be Michelangelo to be written in the history books. For example, even Jim Davis will always have Garfield. And so will this silent legend, Buster Keaton, with The General. You always appreciate the movies that you feel had a lot of work put into them, from the opening to closing. That's because this war comedy was the first ever real epic comedy. An overlong, over-budget, costing of $750,000, which back then was incredibly expensive, just for a few gags, but completely worth it. And it's a passion project where the passion really comes from the fans. Despite being released in 1926, Keaton's train movie is as entertaining as it was back then. Of the simple story set during the American Civil War, of a young train engineer denied joining the Confederate military that becomes a hero in a single attempt to save his own girl, and his actions have an effect on the war. The Civil War was the first conflict that trains were used to transport troops into battle, and the way the train is used in this movie, not just being used to get to point B from point A and back again, but they get every comical stunt they can from it. Even though being quite dangerous for Buster, he made a career of putting himself in scenarios that, if something goes wrong, could be disastrous. No wires, no green screen. Maybe a medic was on set, but there was no computers there to make it look better. He wasn't just acting, he was living it, which is something that films lack greatly today. Johnny Gray seems almost divided between his love for his girl and his love for his engine. And when it gets hijacked and she gets kidnapped, it's the perfect reason for him to become a war hero. Another great thing about using the train is the way it travels across country. While history takes place such as the advancing and retreating of armies, only to have our hero Johnny Gray focused on chopping wood, missing out on the amazing view. The whole thing ends with a battle between the North and South, beginning with an enemy train taking a plunge into the drink. Again, what you see is what you get. They really did use a train, and an interesting fact is, this wreckage ended up being salvaged 15 years ago for the US effort in World War II. One thing you have to understand about Buster Keaton, unlike Charlie Chaplin, who is about the fine detail, Buster was always about the bigger picture. And that is what Keaton's direction of this train chase does best. And the way it's achieved with the perfect combo of adventure, action, comedy, romance, thriller, war, historical, that complement each genre, while still being a story of the underdog, and make it very fun, even having the Confederate Army as the good guys. And this is why it's the Magnum Opus of Old Stoneface.